Good morning, dear students. This is Arvind Dobriyal, and you all are welcome to the e-learning portal of Cambridge International School, Daswa. We are reading the main textbook, that is Beehive. So, the poem that we will read today is The Snake Trying, written by W. Ross. Before starting the poem, let's have a quick recap of the chapter The Last Leaf, written by O. Henry, that we have read in our previous video. The Last Leaf takes place in Greenwich Village in the New York City, sometimes in the early 20th century. The story centers on Sue and Johnsy, two young women artists who share a studio at the top of a run-down apartment building. When winter comes, Johnsy becomes grievously ill with a case of pneumonia. The doctor who visits them predicts that Johnsy won't have much chance of survival if she doesn't find the will to live, since the medicines have little effect on a patient who has decided that she is going to die. An increasingly fatalistic Johnsy becomes obsessed with the leaves falling from a vine outside her window. After the last leaf falls, she tells Sue she will die. Sue works on an illustration for a magazine and tries unsuccessfully to convince Johnsy that she has something to live for. Sue goes to visit their downstairs neighbor Berman, an old unsuccessful artist who, after decades of failure, still hopes to paint his masterpiece. When he hears about Johnsy's illness and her obsession with the leaves outside her window, he is initially contemptuous of the idea that leaves could have anything to do with Johnsy's health. Ultimately, however, Berman stays out all night in a violent storm to paint a realistic looking leaf onto the wall outside Sue and Johnsy's window. Seeing that the last leaf, which is in fact Berman's painting, has seemingly survived the storm 2 nights in a row, Johnsy takes hope and begins to recover. However, Berman catches pneumonia from exposure to the rain and cold and dies a few days later. When Sue tells Johnsy this, she remarks that Berman had finally painted his masterpiece. Now, after the quick recap, let's move to our present poem. First of all, I would like to tell you something about the poet of this beautiful poem. The poet W. Ross was born on 14th of June 1894 in Peterborough in Canada, and he was died on 26th of August in 1966. W. Ross was a Canadian geophysicist and poet. He was the first published poet in Canada to write imagist poetry, and later the first to write surrealist verse, both of which have led some to call him the first modern Canadian poet. W. Ross served with the Canadian Expeditionary Force in the World War I as a private in the Signal Corps. Ross began writing poetry in or around 1923. His earliest works are written in free verse and reflect a knowledge of both Imagism and Japanese poetry. In 1925, Ross developed the laconic as a distinctly Canadian verse form, one that would be native and yet not free verse, one that would be unrhymed and yet definitely a form. The poem is based on the theme of prevention of cruelty towards animals. The poet develops this thought by requesting people to maintain ecological balance and not to harm any species. In this particular case, the snakes. Since all snakes are not poisonous, they are harmless and attack human beings only in self defense. Hence, they should be left on their own. They have a right to existence too. In this poem, the poet tries to say that all snakes are not poisonous. Some of them are quite harmless. It is foolish to kill a snake as soon as we see it. Even if a snake is poisonous, it will do us no harm if it does not see any danger from us. A snake always bites in self protection only. Otherwise, it is as harmless as any other creature. But sadly, human beings always try to kill a snake as soon as they see it. And now the explanation part. In this poem, the poet says that the snake tries to escape from being hit by the stick held by a person who is trying to kill it. The poet wants to say that all snakes are not harmful. Humans have a notion that snakes are dangerous and try to kill them as soon as they spot one, but this is not true. He tells us how a harmless green colored snake tries to hide behind the green bushes in order to save itself. The poet says that the snake tries to escape from being hit by the stick that is following it. As the snake crawls, its body twists and turns, forming fascinating shapes. Next, the poet says that the snake moves through the water in order to save itself. The poet pleads to let it go and hide behind the thick marshy plants as it is harmless. The small green colored snake is harmless even to the children. The poet further says that till it was spotted and chased away by the person holding a stick, it lay quietly in the sand. In order to save itself, the snake disappears in the ripples of water and hides in the camouflage green bushes of the marshy plants. The poem, in a very simple and clear word, conveys the message that all creatures of nature need to be treated in a kind and sympathetic manner. Even snakes must not be attacked because they do not bite unless they sense a danger to their life. Moreover, there are certain varieties of snakes that are not poisonous and are hence harmless even to the children. Now we talk about the poetic devices used in this poem. First of all, transferred epithet. A transferred epithet is an adjective that grammatically qualifies a noun other than the person or thing it is actually describing. The example of transferred epithet in this poem is to escape the pursuing stick. Here, the adjective pursuing is used with the stick, but it is not intended to show that the stick is pursuing. Actually, it is to suggest that some person with a stick in his hand is chasing the snake. Hence, the epithet, that is adjective, is transferred from the person to the stick. Next poetic device used in this poem is imagery. The poet uses a certain description that is appealing to the senses. For example, he describes the beauty of the snake as small and green. Next poetic device is personification. We find that the poet refers to the snake as he would refer to a human being. For example, he glides through the water. He means here snake. Next example is, oh, let him go. The poet uses him for the snake. And the last poetic device that is used here is alliteration, the repetition of a consonant sound in two or more consecutive words. For example, he is harmless. Here, H sound is repeated. That's why we can say that it is alliteration. Now, dear students, I am going to conclude what we have read today. We read that in the poem The Snake Trying, the poet talks about a snake. The poem revolves around a snake that is struggling after being hit by a stick. Furthermore, the stick is held by a person who intends to kill this snake. Moreover, the snake is trying to escape from this predicament. The message that the poet wants to convey is that not all snakes are harmful. Humans have this belief that all snakes are dangerous. Also, humans have this tendency to rush to kill a snake as soon as they spot one. The poet tries to tell us that such thinking is not good and is harmful to the snakes. Even if the snake is poisonous, it does not mean that it will necessarily harm us. The poet tells us the condition of a harmless green colored snake as it tries to hide behind the green bushes. The snake hides to save itself. Now, on the basis of your understanding the poem, I have some questions for you. I hope you will do all these questions by yourself. So, till the next class we meet, take care of yourself and keep studying.